Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star Part 190 based on novel. So let's start. In the 189th year, Luophone was in Yangji main continent. Within the edges of the continent, there was a majestic mountain range over 1,000,000 kilometers high. A silver-armored and winged youth was lying on a stone, and beside him was a blood shadow blade. He muttered, "Hope that Night Emperor has some good news for me. Hope it doesn't waste my time." Soon, a silhouette appeared beside him. "He's come." The youth got up. "Young, you sure are casual." Night Emperor mocked. He was in a dark red armor and he had wings with gold eyes. Occasionally, Luophone's eyes were like lightning, giving off a terrifying energy. As a black warrior with a thick mix of the beast god bloodline, he maintained his beast god transformation all the time, along with the pressure the Showu wings gave off. How could it not be terrifying? "Speak, why have you come to me? And how come we cannot speak in the virtual universe, but having to come here personally?" Luophone looked at him. "Big news, big, but good news," Night Emperor emphasized. "What news?" Luophone was curious. Over time, he had acquired many Emperor friends, of which some were in the main continent with him. The main thing was that his Earth body form used the name Yang to interact. Naturally, the Golden Horned Beast had several friends too, like Star Fantasy Emperor. However, the beast made friends mostly with the rare other races, and it only had a total of 3 friends. The Earth body had many friends, of which he was closest to this Night Emperor. Night Emperor was one of the human races, a pinnacle emperor with the ability to teleport. He was intrepid and brutal, not easily recognizing others. However, the moment he did, he was straightforward and easy with them. Luophone had sparred with him several times. After he was recognized, the two of them became true friends. In the words of Night Emperor, "Your instantaneous speed is simply too fast. Even though I'm able to teleport, the moment I do, you've already dodged. Unless one is proficient in soul attacks, it's extremely hard to harm you. We'll speak in your cave." Night Emperor was being very cautious. So cautious. Luophone smiled. He could feel the atmosphere as he brought Night Emperor into the cave. Within, the two of them sat down. "Young, you should know of some of Yangji continent's legends, right?" Night Emperor said. "Let's communicate mentally, just in case there's some warriors with scanners more advanced than ours." "Ha, of course on the main continent, it's rare for that to happen. Anyway, we have to be careful." "Yangji continent legends?" Luophone was stunned. "You are speaking of Sacrificial Tower?" Night Emperor nodded. The 7th battlefield had many mysterious places. Like Yangji main continent and Star Tower and other battle regions, they all had their legends. Like the main continent usually had many sacrificial statues about. Even over trillions of years, they had yet to fully decay, and their energy usage was shocking, making many warriors ponder about the indigenous people of the continent. "I've heard of some." Luophone frowned. "Back then when the 7th battlefield was first opened, I heard that the 4 pinnacle races swept through the area to forge the battle regions. The indigenous people of the main continent were naturally driven out, and unable to stand up against the 4 pinnacle races. As it was sudden, only part of them got away, and many others were massacred. Yangji main continent is most known for its sacrificial towers, and every one of them is a huge survival base. The indigenous people had many treasures stored within them before taking them along and fleeing. However, as it was rushed, many didn't manage to get away. Some were taken away by the 4 pinnacle races, while some were left hidden in parts of the continent. I heard that they are mysterious in their construct, that even a night's god energy cannot detect them. Our scanners cannot detect them at all." Luophone said, 10 towers were discovered so far. Have you discovered a tower?" Luophone smiled at him. Night Emperor's expression was serious, nodding. "Damn." Luophone suddenly stood up, staring at Night Emperor. "Are you lying to me? Am I truly that lucky?" "I'm not lying." Night Emperor emphasized. "What's going on?" Luo Feng looked at him, frowning. We are definitely good friends. However, the sacrificial towers, they are survival bases from when the indigenous people fled, and they hold a large amount of treasure. That's the amount of an entire race, even though each tower only has a small portion, but it's still a huge amount to us emperors. Such an amount of treasure, there's no need for you to share. Every place had its own stories. Like back on Shattered Stars, Yangji Main Continent or Star Tower. They all had their own stories. Yangji Continent's sacrificial towers were renowned, and several top battle regions in the 7th battlefield, like Star Tower, had even more precious treasures that would make emperors go crazy for. Of course, only one appeared once in a while. But even so, the probability was still much higher than discovering a sacrificial tower. You are right. Even as friends, there's no need to share. Knight Emperor smiled. The reason I'm inviting you is because of your flying and dodging abilities. In a critical time with space lockdown, we can rely on it to escape. After sparring so many times, your flying ability is truly impressive. Ha! Luo Feng smiled. I'll tell you in detail. Knight Emperor emphasized. I fought with another race emperor, who had hid within a deep cave. Even though he was weaker than me, he's still a high emperor. That fight, we gave it our all and the ground collapsed, and the space tore apart. He was already heavily injured and was fleeing, then we unexpectedly discovered the tower. It's incredibly mysterious, even the knights cannot break through it or detect it. It's a survival base of the indigenous people of the main continent. Naturally, both of us were unable to forcefully keep it in our world rings. However, at the entrance lay a body of one of the indigenous people. Both of us discovered a talisman to enter the tower. We immediately fought to acquire it. The main thing was that he had the advantage as he got there first. Even though I'm stronger, I only got half of it. There were a total of 6 parts to that talisman. I got 3 and he got 3. According to the items we found on that body, there was an instruction that said one could enter the tower with the talisman. However, the 6 parts had to be used from 6 different sides simultaneously to get the treasure within. Knight Emperor shook his head helplessly. Since both of us got part of the talisman, we could enter the tower. However, we could only move about in the living areas, etc. The treasure areas within had all sorts of security devices. Hence, we need 6 of us to enter simultaneously. And to activate that door. Knight Emperor, these 6 life forms may need to be indigenous people. Luo Feng frowned. The tower may have said that only indigenous people can enter, and it wouldn't let us other races take the treasure. Even with the 6 talismans, we may not be able to get it. I definitely understand that. Knight Emperor said. However, didn't other warriors acquire the treasures from the other towers before? Anyway, the treasure left behind by the indigenous people is within. Even though this is only one tower, it should be akin to at least a knight's wealth. And over countless years, its defenses may have already grown old and weakened. Knight Emperor said. Risking it to get such a treasure, I'd definitely do it. Yang, will you go? Danger comes with risk. Luo Feng smiled. Of course. Luo Feng was pretty confident of his survival ability. Looking at the history, there were others that had gotten the treasures from sacrificial towers before. Why couldn't he do so too? Let's go, follow me to look for Piercing Tiger Emperor. Knight Emperor said. Piercing Tiger? Luo Feng asked curiously. Let's go. Knight Emperor held onto Luo Feng and teleported. In another side of the continent, Piercing Tiger Emperor and his team were stationed around a cave in a mountain. It was normal to see one stay either in a cave or underground. Within a palace. Luo Feng, Knight Emperor, and Piercing Tiger Emperor stood there. Even though Piercing Tiger wasn't a human, he was from the human camp. Hence, he was naturally on good terms with the other two. Yang, Knight Emperor, why have you come here? He asked. And we have to communicate mentally even without any underlings around. Looks like it's something big. A huge thing indeed. Knight Emperor began to repeat the story again and tell him about the sacrificial tower. I'm in. He slapped the table. How could I not go for such a chance? Even after exploring the many secret regions amidst life or death, we may not get such a treasure. Good. Knight Emperor was very excited. I'm proficient in teleportation, Piercing Tiger you are proficient in space lockdown and attack, and Yang is proficient in flying. With the three of us combined, and all of us having plant life forms, we can definitely get the treasure. We'll set the distribution of the treasure 2:1:1. How's that? Knight Emperor looked at the two. We'll all work together to get the treasure. I'll have the portion of 2 while you both get 1. Piercing Tiger exchanged glances with Luo Feng. After which, they both nodded at Knight Emperor. Good. Sweet. Knight Emperor smiled too. He was clear that these two were not ordinary people. Piercing Tiger had strength on par with him. As for Yang, his flying ability was absolute, and they all had their own trump cards as well. Especially Yang, every time he saw him fly, he would get shocked. This movement was something he created himself, and it displayed his amazing talent on how he must be heavily nurtured by the race. If it was something taught by his teacher, it meant his background was terrifying too. This is a talisman. Knight Emperor flipped his hand and produced 2 triangular crystal-like rocks with complex engravings on them. This was somewhat similar to the jadeite of Earth. Once you send your spirit imprint in, you'll become its master. Knight Emperor said. Only with this can you enter the tower. Otherwise, you can't even get in. These engravings are infused with the space laws and water laws. Wow, how mysterious. Piercing Tiger Emperor couldn't help but say as he received the talismans and examined them. Luo Feng sent a thread of spirit energy in and immediately placed his spirit imprint. It fused right into his skin. The spirit imprint was an imprint of the soul, a mark of life. Piercing Tiger kept his too. All right, let's go. Knight Emperor said. The 3 warriors from the human camp instantly vanished from the cave and appeared deep underground over 1 trillion kilometers away. Deep underground. Luo Feng could feel the space warp, and in the blink of an eye, he appeared within a dark cave underground. This is. Luo Feng looked at the huge object stuck in the ground before them. As the mud had covered part of it, he could only see a few hundred meters ahead. The huge construct had a round entrance that was completely shut. Even after trillions of years, it was still perfectly undamaged. Barbata, scan it. Luo Feng said. I cannot detect it, and am only picking up the mud and stones within a 20 kilometers area. Oh? Even the mini-scanner cannot detect it? Luo Feng was shocked. He had long heard that the towers were undetectable, and even a Knight's god energy couldn't detect it. However, only after trying did he fully feel its power. It's right before me and yet my god energy cannot detect it. Piercing Tiger's voice was booming as it resounded about. My god energy can only pick up the mud and rocks around, yet I can see it right before me. This is the mysterious sacrificial tower. Knight Emperor smiled. Without being in front of it, even a knight cannot find it. This tower is the survival base the indigenous people used to flee in. Even though it is an important fleeing tool and yet it's so mysterious. Corpse. Luo Feng saw a corpse in the mud ahead. It was about 2.6 m tall, completely jade-like, with 6 arms, bald and giving off terrifying energy. This was the energy of an undying, which was able to withstand trillions of years without any decay. Naturally, this was an undying. Quite some power. This undying energy has some pretty powerful god energy. He should be an emperor. Piercing Tiger walked over and glanced at it. It is an emperor. Knight Emperor looked at the body and smiled. The tower was managed by 6 emperors when they were fleeing. They all had 1 talisman each. From the looks of it, he didn't suffer any pain when he died. Luo Feng carefully examined the body too. This body had a sense of anxiety. His eyes were wide open, yet he just died like that. It was almost like he experienced a very sudden death. He died very quickly. An emperor is very hard to kill, yet when he died, his armor was completely undamaged. It's obvious there wasn't even a battle. Knight Emperor said. I think a large group of knights from the 4 pinnacle races used their soul attacks and swept the entire main continent when they were forging the battlefield. Hence, all the life on the main continent was completely annihilated. The the 6 emperors were killed instantly too. Luo Feng nodded. Night Emperor, Piercing Tiger, and Luo Feng stood outside the entrance. We'll wait patiently for the enemy to come. Night Emperor said. They should be here soon. Luo Feng and Piercing Tiger sat cross-legged there and waited. After a while, 3 figure appeared. Night Emperor, you sure got here fast. An ear-piercing voice resounded. A 3-meter-tall, completely black and gold-scaled snake-like creature with small eyes appeared. Its silver-white lips opened as it let out an ear-piercing laughter. Cackle, these are the 2 you've got to help you. This brute must be Piercing Tiger Emperor. Silver armor and wings, never seen before. It glanced at Luo Feng. Let me introduce you. Night Emperor's gaze landed on the 3 warriors from the enemy camp. I am Night Emperor. I am Piercing Tiger Emperor. The powerful booming voice resounded from Piercing Tiger. I don't have an emperor title yet, I'm called Yang. Luo Feng looked at the 3 enemies. There were 3 of them. Luo Feng instantly recognized that 2 of them were from the Chi-Chang race, and another was from the renowned Gold Kang Emperor of Yangji main continent. He was well known, Luo Feng knew much about it. The other 2, however, Luo Feng didn't know anything, as he hadn't spent a lot of time on the main continent after all. Among the 2 Chi-Chang warriors, one was close to 3 meter tall and the other was 1.6 meter. We've already introduced ourselves. Iceblade, what about your side? Night Emperor roared. I'm called Iceblade. The 3M tall Chi-Chang warrior laughed weirdly. Purple Clock Emperor. The 1.6m tall Chi-Chang Emperor, who seemed skinny, spoke. But its voice was even more piercing. Gold Kang Emperor. This huge beast, which was as tall as Piercing Tiger and had thunder engravings on his face. He stood there and glowed with electricity, his energy pressured against the human camp. Piercing Tiger, however, gave off his own terrifying energy. The space seemed to almost fall apart. There were 2 camps. One was the humans, and the other the automaton. Naturally, on their side, none of them were automaton race. Now that we have introduced each other, Iceblade said, let's go. Go? Night said too. Gold Kang went along with Purple Clock and Iceblade, while Luo Feng and Piercing Tiger went along with Night Emperor. They all headed towards the entrance. It had been shut for a long time, however, as Iceblade touched it, the seemingly solid and sturdy material became like a liquid and flowed, as Iceblade walked in. Night Emperor did the same. As for Luo Feng and the others, as this was the first time they entered, they were extremely cautious. How strange. As Luo Feng touched it, the entrance door automatically flowed away, making him feel as though he was passing through water. The 6 Emperor-level strength warriors stood within the huge 1-kilometer-wide pathway, with the entrance behind them. Getting the treasure won't be easy. Luo Feng looked at the 3 enemies. That Iceblade is a high emperor, his threat level isn't that huge. Gold Kang, however, is a well-renowned warrior of the main continent, he should have the emperor limit strength. Yang, Night, this is going to be troublesome. Piercing Tiger communicated, I didn't expect to meet Gold Kang here. HMPH. Night looked at Luo Feng and Piercing Tiger, saying, that Iceblade is weaker than me. He knew that without getting someone stronger, he wouldn't be able to get the treasure. According to the information I gathered, that Purple Clock should be Pinnacle Emperor. And all of you already know Gold Kang, he is at Emperor limit. Emperor limit. The 3 of them felt stressed. An emperor was sorted according to his strength, normally from low, high and pinnacle. A low emperor's body normally reached around 10,000 sector lord strength. A high emperor reached around 30,000 sector lord strength. A pinnacle emperor, however, reached around 100,000 times the strength. And 100,000 sector lord strength, it was a human emperor's highest form. Without a miracle, it was impossible to break through. However, amongst the emperors, there were those with body amplification techniques, like the Golden Horned Beast had deities of the world and beast god transformation along with strengthen, allowing its strength to amplify 20 times. True Yang had acquired the god general inheritance before. Naturally, there were others that would have received them or had their own amplification techniques. Body amplification was very hard. Beast God transformation's first level was only 2 times. Deities of the world was very powerful. It was a combination of the beast swallow technique to amplify. Luo Feng's earth body, he only had the beast god amplification. Hence he could only amplify its strength by very little. It was extremely rare to be able to amplify even 3 to 5 times. As for the god inheritance, they were too rare. Even knights were fighting for these slots. The Hong Alliance's large amount of warriors were all fighting for them too. To get one usually meant spending tens of billions of mixed elements and owing many favors. It wasn't something normal emperors could afford. Hence, emperors were normally sorted into low, high and pinnacle. Only very few had body amplification techniques and soul amplification techniques, or they created their own pinnacle techniques or had some miraculous encounters allowing them to unleash emperor limit strength. Above that, with everything added together, only then can an emperor have the strength of a normal knight, like True Yang. And Gold can belong to that category. Emperor limit is just one level above us. Even though we are weaker, the difference isn't too huge. Knight Emperor said. Leave Gold Kang to me. Piercing Tiger's eyes gleamed with fighting spirit. Luo Feng looked at him. Piercing Tiger was renowned for his strength and intrepid powers. He should be able to withstand Gold Kang. Actually, we have an advantage within this tower, that's Yang. Knight looked about. The circular pathway was huge, but it had countless ancient statues about that gave off law energies. This tower is very mysterious. Its entire structure has God energy everywhere, almost like the space is on lockdown within. This is also the reason I cannot simply teleport into the tower. Teleportation was very powerful. One could teleport straight into a ship from outside. If the sacrificial tower was made from normal material, Knight Emperor could teleport into the center easily. With the space lockdown, Yang's speed and dodging will become our greatest advantage. Plus Piercing Tiger and I are both Emperor Pinnacle. Even though that Gold Kang is Emperor Limit, we aren't too different in levels. Knight said. As they were discussing secretly. The other group was doing the same. After a few seconds. Let's enter the core region. Iceblade said. Let's go. Knight nodded. Even though they spoke in a friendly manner, both sides were extremely cautious. Since they needed to work together to enter the core area, hence they maintained the truce. However, the moment they entered the core, with both sides from enemy camps, they would fight it out for the treasure. Hee. Purple Clock Emperor gazed at Luo Feng's group, his gaze was sharp like a blade. Luo Feng looked over coldly too. Both sides didn't hide their hostility. No one was stupid, there was no need to hide it. Corpses. So many. Luo Feng and the others walked within the walkway. It was 1 kilometer wide and 3 kilometers tall, and was winding about the core. Even though the entire height of the tower was tens of thousands of kilometers, the length of this walkway was at least hundreds of thousands of kilometers. They would occasionally pass halls along the way. Bodies could be seen throughout. All of them are undying bodies, and the bone remains should be Sector Lord level. As for the Domain Lord and Universe level, anything below, they've long decayed into nothing. Luo Feng saw many bodies along the way. All these dead bodies experienced death at the hands of the 4 pinnacle races. The knights of the 4 pinnacle races may not have discovered the sacrificial towers. However, they at most hid the indigenous people. It couldn't block against the soul attacks. With a sweep of the entire continent, everyone died. Even the emperors died instantly, much less the other undyings and the weaker residents. Young. Piercing Tiger communicated. Luo Feng looked over. Have you noticed that all the bodies we've seen don't have any space or world rings or even weapons? He said. Ha. Luo Feng naturally understood. Knight Emperor and Iceblade definitely did a good cleanup. They both entered much earlier. Other than the core area, they've swept the entire tower of everything else. 6 emperors worth of treasures along with the large number of undyings about, Night Emperor probably got a lot from it, it sure makes me itchy. Night Emperor, how's the collection? Piercing Tiger was straightforward as he asked. I only managed to get 3 Emperor corpses. The indigenous people cannot compare to the humans or pinnacle races, and their emperors were much poorer than normal emperors. He said directly. Still complaining about it? Piercing Tiger replied. They chatted mentally while walking. The 2 teams quickly reached the entrance of the core area. This in trance? Luo Feng looked at the huge 6-edged star. The 6 edges were the pathways, each with diameters of 10 m. The pathways glowed with light within. It was almost like membranes surrounding each walkway. It gave off large amounts of terrifying energy. According to the information we gathered, the 6 of us have to head in from all 6 pathways. We will have to rush past the barriers and place the talismans in there. Only when they are placed in there together will the core area open. The treasure is within there. Night Emperor said. Right. Iceblade nodded. Every pathway has many layers of barriers that normal officials cannot get through. It must be something the indigenous people used to stop their own later generations from rushing in. Layers of barriers. The Chi-Chang race Purple Clock Emperor looked coldly at Iceblade beside him. Snorting, he said, Iceblade, are you playing with me? The energy these pathways are giving off isn't weak at all. If it is a special attack, what will happen if we fall? Don't enter if you are afraid. Piercing Tiger snorted coldly. Coward. Luo Feng egged him on. Iceblade, the helpers you got sure are cowards. Night Emperor mocked. The human side mocked them. It made Gold Kang, Iceblade, and Purple Clock frown. Purple Clock shot a glance at the human camp and snorted coldly, not speaking again. However, from their glances, it was obvious they argued mentally for a while. Luo Feng and the human side communicated secretly too. I've already tried several times. Relax, I'll lead the way in. Night Emperor said confidently. I have the Shou wings and general armor. The energy here can't possibly kill me. What's more, it's only the earth body. If something happens, it'll still be under control. Luo Feng was extremely confident. Night Emperor, we trust you. Piercing Tiger trusted Night Emperor too. After a while. After both sides concluded their conversations, they arrived before the entrance. Since they were already here, how could they possibly retreat? Enter. Enter. Both teams said. The human side followed a pathway while the other side entered through another. 6 pathways, 6 warriors. This water screen is like membrane. Luo Feng flapped his wings and covered himself, forcefully rushing in. The water membrane was passed through, as its force was unable to stop Luo Feng's strength. He flew past the many layers. Even though each layer was stronger than the previous one, his earth body had over 10,000 Sector Lord strength. Hence, he easily reached the end. There was a wall at the end with a triangular slot in the wall. This seemed to fit the talisman he received before. Luo Feng floated the talisman and gently placed it in. Ding! The talisman fit in and the engravings around the pathway all lit up, and the space quivered. Ding! The same sound could be heard from the other pathways. After a while, all 6 pathways shook. All the engravings within lit up brighter and brighter. This scene made Luo Feng and the others get nervous. Such treasures usually came with risks. How could one get rewards without any dangers? And everybody knew that the dangers wouldn't be too great. Hence, they dared to risk it. Even so, no one was fully sure. Within the core control room of the tower, a 3D image floated there. Through this image, one was able to see every portion of the tower. Naturally, when Luo Feng and the other just entered the tower, their image was captured as well. Other race invasion. Other race invasion. A 6-arm automaton puppet made of alloy sat in the control room. This was a puppet that resembled the indigenous people, but it was a living AI. Over countless years of looking over the tower, it evolved into a living AI. It has been countless years since it discovered an invasion from another race. It immediately stood up and stepped through the water membrane beside. This membrane was the pathway to a god country. Just like the fixed pathway built within the Black Dragon Mountain Empire country, the fixed pathway had a relation to the distance. The further apart the two spaces were, the more resources it took to maintain the pathway. However, the closer it was, the easier it was to maintain it. Even the Undying of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire could maintain it. This pathway within the sacrificial tower was a very simple thing to create and maintain. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The AI appeared within a vast mountain range before a majestic palace. Gazing down from above, he could see the blur of living quarters. Countless Yangji indigenous residents stayed within this god country and survived. A gold-robed six-armed silhouette appeared. It was an indigenous clansman. "Master," the AI said respectfully. "Aren't you in the tower? Why have you come here?" The gold-robed warrior said. "Master, the tower has been invaded by other race warriors." The AI replied. "Invaded?" His eyes immediately gleamed like two lasers, causing the space around to crackle. After which he laughed loudly. "Sacrificial tower, our race's sacrificial tower. How long has it been? We've been hiding since forever, secretly surviving, fleeing the moment we got discovered, and struggling at death's door. Ha ha. We've finally been invaded. There are finally intruders." The warrior laughed loudly. "Emperors, all gather here. Third brother, bring them here." The warrior instantly boomed throughout the god country. In a breath's time, 11 silhouettes appeared before him. These warriors all had 6 arms, rock-like skin, and were bald. They were all obviously from the same race. And the energies they gave off were incredibly powerful. They were all Emperor level. "Godmaster! Godmaster!" The 11 emperors all looked curiously at the gold-robed warrior. "Why have you summoned us?" "The sacrificial tower we took back then, it's finally been invaded by other race warriors," the warrior said. The 11 emperors all shook with excitement, half of them breaking out with glee and tears. How many years has it been since our race faced extinction, and the knights were made targets by the 4 pinnacle races? We formed groups of tens of thousands and fled, every team taking the race's inheritance and treasures, hoping to rise again. However, the 4 pinnacle races were too fast. Only very few of our teams actually got away. Our team's 6 guides were leading the people in when the attack came. An emperor was filled with tears, his entire body shaking. We Undyings were safe within the core region. Luckily, our third small brother was smart. In case of emergency, he left markers about and we teleported via God Country here to his God Country. Who knew that when we returned to the tower, everyone there was already dead? The 6 guides all died outside. Without the 6 talismans, we couldn't access the treasures within. Without the items and treasures, even though we have countless people here in the God Country, it was hard to nurture warriors. No talismans. The core area was completely shut. Even if we teleported into the core region via God Country, we couldn't leave it. We didn't dare return to Yangji main continent. Didn't dare. We didn't dare gamble. The moment we were discovered, the 4 pinnacle races would rush over to kill us, and we would face complete extinction. It's been too long. This emperor with shaggy skin had tears streaming down his face, but his eyes gleamed with madness. There are finally invaders from other races. They will bring the talismans, and we can finally get them and get our treasure. Finally, the chance has come. The gold-robed warriors said seriously. The other emperors all had madness in their eyes. This video will end here.